So this is the mead and this one is the wine. And you can see, if I hold this one up a little bit, we've got quite a lot of lees that have formed on here. So we're going to go ahead and rack this into a new container. This one hasn't really got as much in the way of lees in there, but I'm going to rack it into a different container to try and rejuvenate the yeast a little bit in here and to check for any more fermentation. And if this one isn't fermenting anymore, then we're going to go on to bottling it in the next week. So let's go ahead and do this one first. Okay, now one thing I will say, when it comes to brewing, you have got to make sure things are sanitized. Do not skimp sanitizing, because if you don't sanitize properly, you will get off tastes and stuff in there, and it's going to be nasty. So sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. Don't use bleach. I used bleach when I was a student, and I can't tell you the number of bad brewing things that I did with that, because it left horrible tastes. We use Star San. We use it for a number of reasons. Number one, you don't need to rinse it. Number two, a little bit goes a long way and it's super easy to use. So this stuff's really, really good. You can you know, soak stuff in it, which is what I do for a lot of the beer brewing, and you use basically 1 ounce of this stuff in 5 gallons. So I've used some in this bottle, and I'm gonna spray this demijohn. And I want to make sure I get all of it. I'm going to go around it. I'm also going to sanitize this one as well, because I don't want anything that's going to fall into it. So don't just kind of, you know, think that you can get away without cleaning this stuff. You know, I've been giving, you know, my hands some good washing up workout. I've been sort of scrubbing dust and debris and stuff off these things for, you know, a few minutes and things before I started this video. So, you know, don't think that just because I'm spraying it with sanitizer means that I've not been scrubbing it. I've been scrubbing it all. So all I'm doing is I want to make sure that this stuff, the sanitizer's going over everything, to make sure that it is going to be nice and clean. I've got some tubing here, and this is what I'm going to use to transfer it out of this carboy into this one. And we're going to go with the sucking siphon method, because I can't find my skinny racking cane that I've got. But we need to sanitize this tubing first. Give it a rinse first. If you're using washing up liquid or dish soap, you want to make sure that you rinse it really thoroughly, especially if you're using stuff that's like got weird scents and fragrances and stuff in it. Because you don't want those carrying over into the brew. And it can with some of them. Now we're going to sanitize the inside. So anywhere where you're going to be passing the alcohol through, you need to sanitize. Okay, it's not a high enough percentage, you know, of alcohol for it to actually take care of any yeast, molds or bacteria that are in the equipment. Okay, and now I'm going to spray it all over. Another thing that I like to do with tubing is I will fill up a brew bucket with the sanitizing solution and I will soak the tubing in it overnight. So I'm going to leave that for a few minutes. Just making sure that all the sanitizing solution is going through both ends of the tubing. So kind of rock the solution back and forth a few times just to make sure. Tubing's a really easy place for you to get, you know, microbial growth and things, so it's always really good practice to clean them out thoroughly right after you've used them and clean them out before you're going to use them again on your next batch. Alright, so we're all sanitized. Now the next bit, because I'm going to be transferring this by mouth, I've got to do something very important. Sanitize. Probably use mouthwash, but that's probably slightly less fun than a really good scotch. Good. Alright, now we're going to just move the camera back a little bit more. We're going to use gravity to help. Empty one wants to be lower than your full one, okay? Because gravity is going to do the work here. Just move it down a little more. Right, hopefully you guys can see that. And take off the airlock on this one. Give it a quick smell. Smells alright. It's a good sign. Can't smell anything that's particularly off. I'm trying to avoid getting it into the lees at the bottom. If you get a racking cane, they usually have a bit on the end, like this one that I use for beer brewing, if you can see. It's got a little piece on the end that stops it going into all that mess at the bottom and pulling it up into your next container, so it helps for a much clearer brew. Alright, here we go guys. So you're basically sucking this up like you are a giant straw, to then go into the empty container. Let's get this in a bit more. It tastes pretty good. It's really sweet. It's very light on the palate. Oh, that's going to be a really good wine. I'm very excited about this. It's really good. So whilst we're transferring, I'm trying to keep my eye on where the tube is, so it's not pulling up too much of the stuff at the bottom. A little bit's okay. And you're going to need to tilt it as it gets lower to make sure that you maintain the siphon. So I'm sorry if I'm in the way a bit while I'm doing this. It's a lot easier if there's two hands, and a racking cane makes this so much easier. So I definitely recommend, even for, you know, right off the bat for a new brewer, invest in a racking cane. Alright. Okay, I'm going to put this into wash. Okay. So you can see this is a little cloudier again now, because we've kind of disturbed up the yeast and things. I'm going to change out the water and stuff that's in here, and then we'll relock it up with the airlock. Again, sanitize. Let's give that a moment. Putting a little sanitizer into the airlock. Lid on. Oh no! I've got the wrong bung. I need to go find another one. Right, I've got a new bung or stopper. Okay, I'm fixed. Airlock goes in. And that one's done. So dry it off with a paper towel. And let's label what it is. Okay, so I've literally just marked it with what it is and that it's a secondary racking. So I know that after this racking, this can go onto bottling. Alright, so I'm going to go pop this back into the basement in the dark so it can carry on fermenting a little while longer. Alright, so for the next one, I actually need this container. I've lost quite a few of my 1 gallons or my demi-johns over the years. I need to buy some more really. But this stuff at the bottom, I actually put in the compost bin. So I'm just going to empty that into the compost bin and then I'm going to get cleaning. Just going to show you guys how I clean these out. So I'm using like some ordinary dish soap. Little squeeze in here. I do have the little cowboy brushes and things somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where. Somewhere downstairs, I guess. But this one isn't totally disgusting. And I'll move the whiskey out of the way there. You know, I'm not too worried about things like all being, you know, up the sides because it's pretty clean in here anyway. There wasn't a lot of build-up, but the great thing is because these are glass, as bulky and heavy and fragile as glass is, you don't get any off flavours from the glass like you do with plastic. Sometimes plastic things you have to refresh or they go a disgusting colour, and you know, we actually bleach out our brewing buckets quite regularly just to make sure that, you know, we kind of clear them out of all that nasty stuff that's built up. But you know, I much prefer glass. I've always brewed in glass, but brewing in like the primary fermentation in a carboy, you know, it just gets pretty nasty very quickly and it can be quite difficult to clean out, especially with the small holes. You can get the wide big mouth bubbler things, and we have one. But we found that the lids on them are a little hit and miss and you have to kind of duct tape them down, which isn't necessarily the greatest thing. Although I can see I've got like a little bit of build up at the top here, so I'm going to go find a small bottle brush. I do have a carboy scrubber somewhere. I think the borrowers have been here again. Bend your bottle brush to be able to get like right into these areas. I'm going to add a bit more water. You don't want it too hot because you can crack the glass, especially if the glass is cold. And likewise, if it's super hot, you don't want to be putting really cold stuff in here because it will crack as well. This is still just a soap, so I'm just scrubbing away the little bits that are all adhered at the top from rigorous yeast. And that was really the only place that I saw anything, but let's just kind of give it a quick once over at the bottom. Pull that out. Out of the way somewhere. Let's do another check. Still a bit more in there. I think some of this might be on the outside. All right. Easiest way to get the bubbles out, I've found. Alright, now we're going to sanitize, just like we did with the other one. We'll make sure we get it all over in here. Plenty in there. Alright, and I'm just going to let that sanitize for a few minutes. Alrighty. So I'm just going to get the tubing ready. Again, because this is a no rinse sanitizer, this makes it a lot quicker. So, just like we did before, empty one at the bottom, full one at the top. Let's open her up. A little bit of a sanitize. There we go. This one smells good too. This is the Mead, so it's a lot delicate. It's a little more floral. Alright, let's move this back. Hopefully you can see. I can't really see because of the glare from the window. Oops. It's a little drippy. And wee nip of whiskey before we start. I do love me a Glenfiddich. Alright. Let's hold this in. This one is definitely stronger. Very, very, very delicate flavour. Yeah, the honey flavour and the wildflowers are starting to come through now. I think as this sort of develops over the next few months, I think this is going to be a really, really, really good mead for summer. I mean, the colour's beautiful on it as well. It just looks like liquid gold. It's beautiful. There's not a lot of lees in this one. It's just super, super clear. It's beautiful. And there we have it. Those to wash. Move the chair out of the way. Sanitize the other bung. Stopper. Refreshing the water in the airlock. Boom. Boom. And there we have it. That is the mead all racked. So let's mark it up. Peach Mead, 2017, secondary racking. And I'm going to put this back in the basement with the other one, and I'm going to let it go for another 2 weeks. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to bring it upstairs to somewhere that's warm but is going to be dark. It's probably a pantry is going to be an ideal place. And by bringing it into a warmer temperature, you're going to see if the yeast is still active. If we start getting signs of fermentation again, then I'm going to put this back into the cool and let it continue fermenting. If after it's been up in a warm area for a few days and there's no fermentation, then we're going to bottle this bad boy. So you don't want to be bottling wine or mead if it's still fermenting, because that's how you end up with exploding bottles. And I know that's one of the things that puts a lot of people off home brewing. It's just all about taking your time with something, and the more time that you take, especially with things like mead, so much better the flavour, so much better. They are well worth it. You won't be disappointed. So let's go put this one to bed, and I'll be right back. So that's the wine pretty much done for the next couple of weeks. I've got two options of what to brew next. I could do another mead, or I could do a rhubarb wine. And I'd really like to know from you guys which you'd prefer to see me brew, the rhubarb wine or a plain mead. So let me know in the comments, and whichever gets the most votes is what I'll brew next. So until next time, cheers.